Hey everybody, it's the Last Robokai here, and it is time for the finale of the Necron campaign for Dawn of War Dark Crusade. We're going to be going in and taking out the very last faction that still exists in the game, and surprise surprise, either by design or complete accident, it is the Blood Ravens. And they are led by Captain Davian Thule, and they are the canonical winners of Kronus, and we're about to get about as non-canon as we can get. And joining me on this journey of violence is, as always, Cool Guy.
Yo yo.
Yes, it's going to be a big one. It's not the most amazing of strongholds, but I think it's a pretty good one to cap it all off with. So I say let's get stuck straight in. Yeah, we're back in our holdings, and they're still sucking.
Oh my god. Like, I was about to make the comment through no credit of their own have they survived this, and I'm glad that they proved my point, like, before I said anything.
Yeah, I've used my double movement to sort of move myself into the location. There's a few things we haven't read that I'm going to go through now, although honestly I'm not entirely sure if I get all of them, and if I don't, buy Dawn of War Dark Crusade. It's probably like $5. Play it. It's a good game. Dear. A little bit of the grayskin lies.
Yeah, for what it's worth, those of you reading this, grayskins are Taus. Like we're not they're not talking about Necrons in some weird alternate fashion here.
Yeah, and just man, the Tau. The Tower are definitely one of the troublemakers of Kronus, having taken it during one of their many expansions, and now like the efforts of the Blood Ravens to take it back. And it's interesting because it kind of seems like seems like a field report, like unrelated to the actual area, and it's more just talking about some of the Space Marine fights that they had with the Tau. We'll talk about that when we do the Tau, like the Tau on the Necron Stronghold next mission, because the Damocles Crusade is primarily just what I want to talk about, because it's the wonderful headbutting of the Tau versus the Imperium.
Yeah, the Vandemar Mountains are one of the it's either the only one or one of two field reports that comment on the Imperium's larger motions in the sector, like what it took for them to get to Kronus in the first place. Because obviously they have this big crusade going on, and Kronus isn't the only theater. It's just the only theater that we're really focusing on. So they have part of it is just, by the time they finally get to Kronus, the Imperium has already knocked the Tau off of a half dozen worlds or so.
I love this. Basically, I was a slave to speed. And I feel like this is more as a slave to speed, as in like the constant need for speed of these people running around the place, basically just ruled and destroyed his entire life.
Yelling about the entire time, they're yelling about family as they're going really, really fast.
I
choose to believe that the Fast and the Furious is a ridiculous enough thing that it survives all the way into the 41st millennium.
Apparently, there's another war boss hanging around, at least at this particular point in time. Wait, it's Headcracker. We had Head Taker. We've got Headcracker. They do like they're doing things to heads. Maybe Gorguts and Headcracker had like a falling out, like major falling out.
Just over their treatment of heads.
Yeah, that was 12. It says it was dated 12 years before this current fight. So I guess Gorguts turned up and caused problems. And I think that's all of them. So we might as well, aside from obviously the one for the Stronghold itself. So we'll be tucking into that very, very shortly. And yeah, as you can see, there are a lot of forces tied up in this. Members of the first, second, and fourth companies. And a hell of a command squad as well. Brother Captain Davian Thule, we know and love very well from Dawn of War 2.
Yep.
I don't know too much about Michaelis and Antaeus. I feel like Michaelis is the name that comes up in reference to Dawn of War 2, but it could just be my brain misremembering. but that doesn't
I,
matter.
I have a vague memory of that as well. Give me just 1 second. I'm actually like that's gonna bug me enough that I'm actually gonna Google it on camera.
He's gonna go and he's gonna find it. So there we go. Get my army set up. They're gonna come straight in for us, hard and fast. And while Cool Guy looks that up, we're gonna throw ourselves in and just get mauled to death by a lot of Space Marines.
The Space Marines of the Blood Ravens chapter were well entrenched in their castellum in North Vandia when they finally faced an all-out attack. Utterly unwilling to surrender or retreat any further, the Blood Ravens prepared a mighty defense against the coming assault. Among those defending the keep were Space Marines drawn from the chapter's hallowed First Company. These were the hardened veterans of many crusades, each man ready and able to face down whole squads of enemy attackers. The Blood Ravens on the ground would be further bolstered by fresh troops arriving from the battle barge Litania Fury in orbit around the planet. Only 2 factors made the Blood Ravens at all assailable in their stronghold. Most critically, the fortress was unable to receive reinforcements directly from orbit. Captain Thule thus had to establish a forward base to receive drop pods and landing craft. Although well defended, this base could be taken. Secondly, the Space Marines had established their base near ancient ruins, which the Ravens claimed held relics of great importance to the chapter. Unwilling to desecrate the space by fortifying it, Thule opened the door to an enemy claiming the area and thus dealing a powerful blow to the normally unbreakable Space Marine morale. The Battle of North Vandia would be one of the bloodiest of the entire war.
The enemy is at our doorstep and thinks he can push us off this world. He is already gloating. He can taste his victory. But what he fails to see is that we will make this his last meal. The Chief Librarian has ordered the purge of this world to protect our chapter's secrets. Are we to retreat with our duty unfulfilled? Are we to let a black mark stain the banner of the Blood Ravens? I say that we will not. I say our enemies will regret the day they ever decided to face us in battle. Our battle barge orbits overhead and will rain the Emperor's holy fury upon our opponents. More of our brothers will come to join the fight. But as ever, our enemy outnumbers us. Each of you must be an army in your own right. Veterans of the First Company, the finest of the entire chapter, stand with us. Let their valor guide your fire into the enemy's heart. Remember that we are Blood Ravens, brothers. We have all sworn to protect fonts of hidden knowledge. Each one of us must fall before handing this word to the enemy. The Emperor is with us. The unknown Primarch is with us. They have come for our blood, but they will drown in their own.
Death has come for you, Space Marines.
We are the Emperor's finest. We will not fall to you, alien.
Your end is inevitable. Submit and spare yourselves the pain of living.
I forgot how good that speech was. Like
Yeah.
the most like the Blood Raveny stuff that people will remember is Commander Boreal with Space Marines.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's a really bad speech.
One up them there. That was even better than Boreal's speeches are bad.
Yeah, like that was genuinely good. Like I'd forgotten how great that speech was.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a whirlwind just like nuking the distance there? I think there is.
I did look up Chaplain Nicholas, and the only thing that came up was this one weird thing on Warhammer 40k Fanon, where it's apparently Raphael Nicholas is the chapter master of the Angels Eternal, which appears to be a homebrew chapter.
Well,
So there you go.
Yep. So Nicholas is just a name that I've heard a few times, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that a name I'm familiar
Probably
with?
just a common High Gothic name.
Yeah. Very nice of them to give us the versions of the guys. Stop shooting the servo skull. You gotta shoot the space marines.
Seriously.
Very nice of them to give us the non-melee version of the dreadnought though for the opening battle. I think that actually would have crushed us. It would be impossible to do. I'd have to gather up everybody else to do it.
I'm just appreciating that one flayed one doing a butt slide the entire time. He gets knocked over and he's still just like dragging himself by his like dripping butthole to the fight.
Yeah, well, you gotta remember it's not his own butthole that's dripping. It's somebody else's butthole he's placed over his butthole.
It's like it's like a turducken, only it's a butthole.
Yeah, it's a
It's a butthole inside of a butthole inside of a butthole.
God, so would it like so if it used like a Tau and a human, would it be like a Tau Necron?
All right, that's our fanon thing that we're coining for this stupid.
Maybe that's that's the title they
they
give to the most powerful flayed one who's like covered themselves in like the gooey mess of like several different races.
Fund it, ship it. It's
The
good
Tau
enough.
Necron.
Let's go. Oh man, gone. The absolute least. That's better than Man Bear Pig.
And it's like, they stop. What do you get that out of here? Get that out of here! You stop skull probing this. What the fuck?
I mean, not for nothing, but the AI is using skull probes in one of their intended ways, right? It's
Yeah.
like you use skull probes and you just run them like complete lunatics into the enemy's backline, and that will even in the multiplayer that will about 75 to 85% of the time fool the enemy's backline into shooting the skull probe before your like anything that actually matters.
It can be very difficult to try and keep up with stuff. So if the very first thing they have to deal with is a skull probe, it can get pretty spicy.
Yeah, it's one of the tactical ways to, like I was talking. It was either last episode or 2 episodes ago about how no plan in this game survives contact with the enemy. That is one of the ways to make your plan disrupt the enemy's plan very quickly. Just because what like it's insidious because what it does is it basically counts on the fact that your opponent is using attack move. You just charge the probe forward like a complete lunatic, and that's the first thing that like the heavy bolters see. So they just start taking pot shots at this thing that's super dodgy and has way too much health for something that doesn't matter.
Oh dear. They have way too much health because technically, I believe skull probes just lose health over time. Still.
I think that's right. Yeah,
I know they did
think
in the
that's
original.
right.
I don't remember if they still do it.
I know they also did that in Winter Assault. I can't remember the
Reinforcements have
name
arrived!
after this
To
one.
battle, Blood Ravens!
For the Emperor!
I'm disappointed that subtitle didn't have an exclamation point.
Maybe that guy just normally talks at that volume.
just
There it is
doing
again.
it again.
Get out of here, you little rascal. Oh dear. This is a mood, honestly. I'm just gonna.
Oh my
yep.
God.
No. They're little scouts with flamethrowers. Are just gonna keep coming. So I'm gonna take them over here.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That was the funniest thing I've seen all day.
I gotta admit, when they're trying, they're trying. Also, I forgot drones even had morale.
Technically, yeah, technically they do. but it's never relevant ever because like actually I guess it's sort of relevant because when your morale is broken, you also take bonus damage.
Yeah, so the objectives are pretty obviously laid out for this mission. You've got the stuff that's happening on the right-hand side the entire time. We're going to be dealing with like reinforcements and stuff from that area. That red icon highlighted on the map, I think is where they're doing their bombardments from. I could be wrong on that. It might actually be at the base on the right-hand side.
You need to go blind.
Either way, we're going to be dealing with like orbital bombardment attacks quite a fair bit through it. And then the only relic point on the map, as usual in a stronghold, is well guarded. But should we take that, it will diminish the morale of the Space Marines. So it's kind of that thing I quite enjoy about the strongholds, and you disassemble the enemy, and as you do so, the game gives you more advantages to push you through like bigger knots that they create. You know, like kind of like with the Eldar Stronghold last episode, where like taking out one of the problems not only relieves pressure on your forces, but gives you additional reinforcements intermittently. Similarly to with Chaos as well, where you would take things out and get them. Which is probably just as well, because the Space Marines, there's a lot of elite Space Marines here. These are all, I'm guessing, first company fellas who are going to give us a lot of trouble. But the
God.
I was just going to talk about the unit that the Space Marines get for Dawn of War Dark Crusade, because I'm not sure if we're even going to see them in this stage or see much of them. But the unit that is a squad. It's a singular squad. You can only build one of them. They are very elite melee with powerful abilities. They are Grey Knights, and so this was an interesting decision, because at the time, I think Relic must have just been trying to find something that would fill that niche, and it must be my Necron Lord died. It must be considered at this particular point in time that in the Space Marine Codex, they'd only really just released like units and the like that more adequately sort of could fill those roles, but likely might not have been around when they were designing it. And I'm talking about like the Stone Guard and the Vanguard squads. The Stone Guard are elite ranged units from the first company who could change their, like on the tabletop, could choose to change what kind of rounds they were firing. And that's something that often gets used in like the Death Watch as well now, in like more recent iterations, like in Dawn of War 3 and things like that. And then there was the Vanguard, who were just the elite close combat guys, and they were capable of far more. Yeah, I can see why we might have died. Let's get out of there. Let's get out of, lads. See if we can't give these land speeders
elite devastators are serious bad news bears. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
they're great.
Obviously, none of that stuff is something you want to meet in a dark alley. But frickin' elite devastators are the worst, just because they already do a lot of damage, and then they're just like, hey, how about this thing that does a lot of damage can just do a shitload more damage? All right, cool.
Yeah. And because
anyway,
Kronus, and because Kronus and in particular Chaos factions have like you'll fight against in Dawn of War have a rather ridiculous number of units available to them that are demonic. They decided to give the Space Marines a dedicated anti-demon unit, and there is no more of a anti-demon, like a dedicated anti-demon force in the Imperium than the Grey Knights. They are tied to the Inquisition's most arguably well known in terms of like things I read about. Actually, no, I'd say the Ordo Hereticus is probably one that most players probably know better than the Ordo Malleus. But the Ordo Malleus are the ones that deal directly with people getting up with the demons, like demonic invasions, demonic influences, demonic sorcery, things like that. The Ordo Malleus is essentially, their job is to try and find ways to combat demons and also try and keep demons out of their hair and not ruining Imperial planets. And every single Inquisitorial faction has an arms militant. They have a force of specialized units that they can call on to aid them in their time of need, and it just so happens that the Ordo Malleus has access to very, very dangerous, very, very elite anti-demon psychers. Every member of the Grey Knights is a psyker. Every member, they are Space Marines and psychers. They are incredibly powerful and incredibly incredibly disciplined, incredibly well trained. Their homeworld is actually on the moon of Titan, which is that's a moon of Saturn, if I'm recalling correctly.
Jupiter.
Am I getting that one right, or am I getting that one wrong?
Hang on, let me double check to me. No, yeah, you're right. It's Saturn. I'm
there you go. Look at that.
Yeah,
I was actually right. What? Okay.
For some reason I thought it was Jupiter. I must have been getting it mixed up. But yeah, it's Saturn.
Yeah, and like the entirety of it is that they were formed in the wake of the Horus Heresy, or being formed during the closing stages of the Horus Heresy. In fact, the entirety of the moon was hidden through psychic means to ensure that Horus and the like would never notice it. Like they just winked an entire moon out of visibility, while they spent like a long time training them. So Grey Knights are effectively like their armor is sanctified and warded. Their minds are sanctified and warded with like loads and loads of techniques, etc., etc. And they have this sort of interesting distinction, the Grey Knights, in that, you know, even Space Marines have fallen to chaos and fallen to demonic influence. There's no recorded Grey Knight who's ever actually done that, as far as I'm aware. I don't know if they've changed that lore or anything.
They haven't.
And it's not just because they're naturally better. It's because of a long period of like working very hard to make sure it doesn't happen. Like they are imperiled quite often, but either make sure they die, make sure like the person will kill themselves before it happens, because they're well trained and aware enough to know it's happening, or they will absolutely just like they'll overcome it. But so the Grey Knights were an interesting choice, and I don't think it was a terribly welcome choice at the time. They still feel a bit weird running around alongside the Blood Ravens, like, you know, fighting against Necrons and Eldar and things like that. But like I said, I think their options were a little more limited at the time, and like these other options had only really just sort of started to come out, and it was like, well, they've already put dev time into this game. They can't really backpedal on that.
Yeah, I definitely remember having conversations back then. Just like these guys, like what the hell? Because this game, like Dawn of War 1 was very much my introduction to Warhammer as a whole. So when you click on the Grey Knights in game, they literally go, the Ordo Malleus has sent us to aid you, and I'm like, the hell is the Ordo Malleus? So I go and ask Google about it. I start reading about it. I'm just like. Seems really weird to be putting these massively expensive specialists on what amounts to a demonic strategic backwater like Kronus, right?
But Kronus is a hotbed of demonic activity, though. I guess there's the portal, there's the demon that's residing in the cannon. There's the demon that's, like, giving us, like, an extra move per turn. There's probably, like, a bunch of demons, like, hidden under a bunch of other rocks somewhere as well. God, if I was the Necrons, I would definitely be, like, revoking everybody else's bond. Because, my god, they fucked the place up while they were sleeping.
I mean... yeah, like you're not getting your security deposit back on Kronus. That's for damn sure.
It's like, imagine just like, it's just like, look, like there are Eldar webway gates set up here. There's like 3 different kinds of demon here. Like, what the fuck? What are you people doing? What have you people done? And the tower just like, I don't know. We just got here. We killed the previous tenant.
We're trying to make it better. I promise. The Necrons are just like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, no.
You are lying to me.
It's like, you're not even on the tenant list. What the fuck?
The thing about the Grey Knights though is that usually they are deployed like right in the stages between something being overrun by demons, right before it becomes a fully blown
they are the last resort.
Planet. Yeah, they are the last resort, which is why it's so remarkable that not one of them has ever fallen to chaos, and it's one of the biggest what's the word I'm looking for, pieces of evidence that all of like those purity seals and the rights that Space Marines talk about or whatever. There's actually something to those. like there actually is something to those. It's easy to just basically be like it's just something to distract people and keep the morale up, but that is actively not the case. Like there is something to all of these weird things that they're doing.
We really need to turn that fucking bombardment off. God help me.
Yeah,
they're bombing my house like you wouldn't believe.
They're bombing their own dudes right
blew
now.
up my spine. There it is.
I mean, that's
pretty sure that's the
true.
thing we gotta break. I think that's what we gotta destroy. If not, at the very least, that thing like teleports people down. But it's gotta go. I need to stop getting bombed. But yeah. So the Grey Knights got their own codex. It was like a few years after this. It was one of the infamous Matt Ward lore ones, the ones where like people just hated everything in it, and not for nothing. It tries to sort of it gets a little up its own ass. They try to expand on the idea of like the different sort of things that the Grey Knights would do in their role, not just like turning up at the last minute and like saving the day, but everything's still kind of fucked up. But you know, trying to introduce a bit more shades of grey to them to make them not seem quite so heroic, because they are still an instrument of the insane, like, you know, the insane state of the Imperium. You know, the super fascism that's going on there, and there's a lot of missiles. Fuck, man.
It's also important to remember. I mentioned this briefly in like base, but for whatever reason, people constantly forget this. As much as the Imperium is drawn up to be, you know, a mighty structure and everything like that, the reality of the situation is that if the Imperium was even half as good at inducing cooperation, teamwork, and common goal making among its various organs as like the worst, the worst version of the Roman Empire or the Byzantine Empire, like in their darkest day, if the Imperium was even half that good, Chaos wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
The Orcs wouldn't be an issue. Like, none of this crap would be a problem, because the Imperium's worst enemy is itself, and that is the crowning thing as to how big of a failure the entire society is.
You know, it's the too big to fail thing only. It's
only too big to succeed.
Too big to succeed. We're gonna try and take that point now, and hopefully that'll give me access to the Litany of Furies codes, and hopefully they won't notice that I'm asking them to bomb the enemy with this voice. Wow, Davian Thule, you sound a little raspy and alien there. I've yelled really big in my speech, and now I am asking you to bomb my own positions.
Top marks for doing the cadence of the pariah there. By the way,
it's mandatory.
I am friggin' impressed. There is one other thing for folks who haven't played this game. This one particular quirk that I'm 99% sure is still in like the final version of Dark Crusade, is that when they launched like everybody has seen that there's a very rich soundscape in Dawn of War, and that goes to, you know, fading out as you come away from a particular source of noise. You can hear like gunshots in the distance versus gunshots right next to you. For whatever reason, the Grey Knights and their combat calls were exempt from that. So you could hear them screaming, "The enemies of man cannot stand before us. This is the judgment of the righteous, scum!" Like full volume, as long as you were anywhere even in their quadrant of the map. They would not shut up, could not shut up.
Reinforcements! Drive them back! Brothers, the enemy
There we go.
to the battle barge. Prepare for incoming orbital fire!
Okay. Well, yeah, apparently they don't have a very good authentication.
Nope. It's, I mean, you know, at the very least it makes sense for the Necrons. They're very good at subverting machinery.
Yeah.
I like, it's like you got an objective, bomb them, give them the old spicy sky nuke. when that guy's just
That's
not gonna
that
move.
like that is. I didn't even live through that, and that's satisfying.
That guy just gets out and goes, "Ah!" It's like, you maybe don't deploy my drop pod to that location.
Speaking of the failure of the Imperium on every conceivable level, even like the the gunnery officer and the deployment officer on the Litany of Fury can't talk to each other long enough to realize they're shooting the same fucking place.
Oops. Right, so like some of the things that I talked about with like them being up their own arse in terms of the Grey Knights was like the chapter master of the Grey Knights.
Oh yeah, Kaldor Drogo or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, he's his entire thing was kind of like I think it was an attempt to try and create this larger than life hero who is like super amazing and he's capable of doing all these incredible things. Like he in anger he like soloed the Primarch Mortarion and wrote the name like psychically carved the name of his predecessor who Mortarion killed on Mortarion's heart. So like in a wound that will never heal, so Mortarion basically just has a heart tattoo now. Which is really weird, but you go Drago. But they're like, if this guy's so amazing, couldn't he fix all the problems in the entirety of the Imperium? But you see, he's also cursed now to wander through the warp, where he's still incorruptible and goes around like fucking everything up and like beating all of the enemies and stuff. And naturally, everyone's response to this was, this guy sucks. Not, this guy is amazing, but this guy sucks. This guy is too perfect, too amazing, and his Mary Sue flaw, because the concept of the Mary Sue is the person who is like so amazing they have no flaws, and like any flaw that is concocted is entirely like lame. Like it's like, but sometimes they get very sad. This particular, or they just have this propensity to like never be around when they're needed. It's just like, so eventually, he basically predated. Because I don't know when the original version of One Punch Man came out. Because I know, I know it was like originally a really crusty drawn webcomic that was very fond. Everyone was very fond of before it got turned into like a manga and then an anime. But he's to put it in, because we certainly love doing these references to things from Japan. But he's definitely like a lame Saitama.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Whereas like he'll just turn up at the exact right, like it's so funny because the Grey Knights are the guys who turn up at the last minute when everything's fucked, and he's the guy that turns up at the last minute when everything's fucked for the Grey Knights. And it's just like spare me. Like I much prefer characters like Castellan Crow. Castellan Crow is a guy who like there's this sword that's got a Chaos Demon in it, and the demon is too dangerous to let out of the sword. But at the same time, the demon is extremely good at corrupting people. Every time it's ever appeared in history, it has just caused so much damage, and even like the most pious of people can't have it. And the Grey Knights finally got their hands on it after knowing that this thing existed and trying so hard to find it because it was always slipping away. And they finally got it, and they were like, we can't let this thing out of our sight, because it's going to either slip away or it's going to like tempt somebody who works in the actual inside Titan, because not everybody who like works inside Titan is like 100% super incorruptible. Like they're not like the Grey Knights, and they're worried even the Grey Knights wouldn't be able to handle it. Like anyone who touches it just wears away at you. It's constantly trying to bargain with you. It's constantly trying to overcome your will to possess you. And so there is always like this guy in the Grey Knights who is basically designated as the person who has to deal with this thing, and always has to like have it on their person. Like they can't just like sit it on their shelf in their room. It's got to be on them at all times. And so they have to put up with this extremely like dangerous demonic weapon constantly on their shit at all times. And so like that I thought was cool. That summed up like the entire concept of the Grey Knights very well, is that they do exist in a state of being constantly imperiled, body and soul, in the work they do, and that they're constantly being worn at by their job, but that they are still fighting against it, and that like the only result that can come from even coming close to losing is death. As like I believe the previous owner of the sword was like, I don't even think the previous owner of the sword wasn't even like, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I can't bomb places I can't see, which is a shame. Otherwise, I'd just soften everything up for myself. But it's like you can't. Like I think the previous holder had actually been hadn't even been corrupted. It was someone nearby who just, in a moment of like confusion during combat or something, just ripped the blade out of its scabbard and like stabbed the Grey Knight from behind. So like he had a moment of lapse of concentration, but it wasn't enough for the sword to take over. It was enough for the sword to take over somebody else and get them to kill him. So even that is, I think, a good character. Drago is not a good character. He's just not. He's not interesting. He's not entertaining. His character has no risks to it. Like, the only risk is, oh, will he turn up? Because like they talk about how in like, you know, in the realm of chaos, he's always fucking things up, and oh, everything will always get fixed up again. So it's like, but he still fights on eternally, and it's just like, I don't really care. Like,
yeah, like it has exactly the same problem that I and a lot of other people identified with the first editions of Age of Sigmar, and like this has changed at this point, to be clear. So I'm about to at a level of complaint at the mythos that doesn't really exist anymore. But early on, like they had all of these different planes: the plane of order, the plane of chaos, the plane of life, plane of death, blah blah blah, right? And they explicitly said that all of these planes were functionally infinite, and you really couldn't do too much about them, and all of the conflicts that happened basically happened in border regions, like around these planes, and the various like dominance of the planes was directly related to just how many border regions you've won or lost recently, which more or less goes back to, cool, then nothing matters. Literally nothing matters in this context, and they've since changed that. And there's actually stakes and things actually matter now.
Yeah.
But that still has not to this day happened with Drogo. Even in like the recent Grey Knights game, Demon Hunters, basically the XCOM like that
I was
came
wondering
out.
when we get to this game.
Yeah, and like spoiler alert, Drogo shows up, and it is the most frustrating thing on the planet, because like he shows up during a particular fight where you're having it out with the Demon Prince, and if you've played the game properly and you've grasped a lot of the basics, he shows up after you have already whacked the Demon Prince.
Yes.
You know, and
It's so funny. He turns up and says, "I'll take care of this," and then he's like, "All right, right then."
yeah, it's just like I'm sitting here on this mission. I've got all of my Grey Knights. The only thing I'm doing is just waiting for enemies to spawn, and then I go take a massive dump on them, and I kill them before they get a turn, because as far as the game's concerned, they're supposed to be just reinforcements messing around with me while I'm fighting the Demon Prince. Problem being, because I basically understood that damage is king in this game. I aced the Demon Prince in 1.5 turns, so I'm sitting here chilling. Drago shows up and is just like,
Everything is at stake. Go! I will hold everybody here, and I'll like give my regards to your superiors.
and all of this other like pseudo heroic crap, and I'm just like, bro, we got this. Like why are you here, man?
Yeah, and then you know, like when you go out, like you still aren't getting like more reinforcements or anything at a better pace, and you're like the guy you're supposed to be like working on, who's supposed to like requisition all the stuff at you, still yells at you and calls you an idiot. So
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
Nobody
okay.
seems to give a crap that you had an elbow to elbow with you know the coolest guy ever, like the winner of the intergalactic coolest duty awards for 1,000 years running, and nobody gives a crap. Okay, I guess that's where we're at now.
Yeah, It's kind of funny though, because I like people give him like a lot of shit justifiably for that sort of a character. I see a similar sort of thing get thrown at like Captain Sicarius of the Ultramarine Second Company, because
Yeah,
like a
Kato.
lot of his lore talks about how he's like, you know, everyone seems to think he's probably going to be the next big leader, etc., etc. But it's kind of funny because if you look at most of the lore that he's involved in, he eats a lot of shit.
He does.
He eats a lot of shit.
Like,
he gets
Kato's. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, there's like this battle, and it's telling, and I bring this up because it was between the Necrons and the Space Marines, and Sicarius is like, you know, he's famous for looking at a battle plan, knowing what needs to be done in seconds, and going out and doing it, and he likes leading from the front. Well, he does that, and the Necrons like wound him really badly, so he's out of the entirety of the rest of the fight. And fucking Tigurius, the chief librarian of the Ultramarines, and a particularly like competent venerable dreadnought have to take over. And it was just like, oh, yep. And that's like the same, like they came out relatively around the same time. Like, this is one of Sicarius's big moments, so quotation marks. It's like, he comes out, he does his thing, and he eats shit. So it's just kind of like, yeah, he's not there yet. Like I feel like it's making pains to show that, yeah, maybe one day he could be the captain of the first, like, you know, the captain of the first company, or the chapter master of the Ultramarines, but he's not there yet, and he's got a long way to go, and he's got a lot of work to do. So, but it's just really funny that like he gets run like really through the ringer by a lot of people, and they sort of characterize him as, oh, I'm Sicarius, I'm amazing, etc., etc., reading off like the lore entry describing him, but they're not looking at like the historical nature of his character within the storylines, and just how often he just eats shit.
His combat record is incredibly spotty.
Even in battle reports, which is so funny. Even in battle reports, like I still remember reading a White Dwarf battle report when like I think like I can't remember exactly whose codex was out or what, but it was the Ultramarines versus the Eldar, and I think the Necrons were involved somehow too. Or it might have even been the Space Marines versus the Necrons, and the Eldar were somehow involved in the storyline. I don't know. I know Trazyn appears at the end, and laughs at Sicarius. And Sicarius eats shit in that battle too, like in the battle report. Like, he eats shit in the battle report. And it's just like, this guy can't stop. He's got like a big old bowl of the doo-doo, and he's just gonna be choking it down. And it's like, it's kind of appropriate, because anybody who leads the second company usually just has to eat shit on the regular. Captain Titus in Space Marine is the fucking was the captain.
Yep.
And that's all we all know how that went for him.
He basically got down onto that planet, had a good first 15 minutes, and then the rest of the time in Space Marine was just pure suffering for him. Like, it never got better. But yeah, like I'm a lot easier on Kato than most folks, precisely because of what you're talking about. His, like, I think a lot of the reason why he gets crap is because yeah, like when he succeeds, he does so very well.
You will only follow your emperor into death.
The Emperor protects us. We will not fail.
You will.
No, I won't. Yes.
Yeah, just letting them do that. Like, it's a very quintessential soldier sort of failure. Like usually, even when he gets shit on in battle reports or whatever, I'm pretty sure I remember the battle report you're talking about. He basically just saw that one of his flanks was wavering, and instead of ordering troops to go over there and reinforce the flank, he ran over there himself. And because he's a captain and he wears this huge headdress, all of the enemies are basically just like, shoot the guy with the fanciest helmet, and then they did, and he fell over.
Yeah, and part of the reason why he gets wounded in the battle against the Necrons, people will probably talk about what it specifically, but it honestly doesn't even really matter if it's named right or anything like that. It's quite literally because he figures out that it's the best place to go, it's the best pocket to like face the enemy, and and tries to mano-a-mano an ancient, like, very well armored, very strong Necron lord. Like, the Necron Lord is just the Necron Lord is like just overpowers him completely and wounds him, and they have to back off. It was just he overestimated himself completely and went in and got shit slapped. Whereas like someone like Calgar would have probably approached that a bit differently and a whole lot less impetuously.
It's and the part of the reason why it doesn't have the same sort of impact for a lot of people, I think, is because it's something that strictly speaking could happen to any soldier, right? It's not something like with the Blood Ravens where like a squad failed to show up on time and you lost the battle, and it turned out the sergeant of that squad decided to go be a bloody magpie, and that's Blood Ravens, or Blood Angels. Oh hey, this person got the Black Rage, and now they're tragically out of the fight because Black Rage, a Red Thirst inherent flaw. That's the Blood Angels. Whereas Kato, it's if you want to call it this, his failures are kind of boring because they can happen to anybody. But the thing is, like you just said, if Calgar was doing it, it wouldn't happen. Like it can happen to anybody, but it really only happens to Kato.
Like, and even, like, you can say, like, a similar sort of thing did happen to Manius Calgar, back when Hive Fleet Behemoth, attacked Macragge. They essentially, the Hive Fleet Behemoth was, like, the first major Hive Fleet of Tyranids that ever got encountered, and was just moving as one gigantic blob on its path, probably towards Terra. And its path happened to put it in, Macragge just happened to end up in its path. And so they go through to try and, eat up Macragge, and the Ultramarines fight back, and so the Tyranid, the Hive Mind, has this thing it likes to do when it meets a particularly strong resistant foe, and it produces a particular bioform known as the Swarm Lord. A Swarm Lord could be, like, is sort of weird. It's got its own personality, it's got its own ideas, but it's still bound to the Hive Mind in a way, so it's kind of is, but kind of isn't. Who knows, it could have been, like, the very creature that became what would, like, end up forming the Hive Mind. It could have been the very first, like, Hive Tyrant. Like, they don't really say. But, essentially, that thing exists to slap the absolute shit out of commanders. By going in and engaging them. And, of course, the commander of an army, especially of the Ultramarines, is pretty easy to see because they're wearing the big, shiny heraldry, and they're usually in the thickest of the fighting. And so the Swarm Lord comes in and horribly wounds Manius Calgar, and so they have to drag him off the planet, and have to direct the rest of the battle from orbit on aboard a battle barge, simply because he's too wounded to fight. Like, it was a similar sort of situation. And ultimately it led to the annihilation of the entirety of the first company of the Ultramarines. But a lot of people forget that about the Ultramarines. They talk about, the Ultramarines, they get fluffed up in the fluff as being the best, the ultimate, etc., etc. It's like, every single Space Marine chapter at somewhere in their lifespan, be they Blood Angels, be they Ultramarines, has eaten shit so hard it's like it's taken them like centuries to build back up. And for the Ultramarines, that was like their entire homeworld being attacked, and they lost like a huge number of Space Marines, and every single veteran to a man died. I'm like, it's kind of. I didn't expect this video was going to be in defense of Ultramarines riding, but definitely it still isn't. There is no in defense of Drago. Drongo. Let's call him Drongo. That's a good Australian word. Let's call him Drongo.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good. I'm
not even bothering to look his name up. That's how much contempt I have for the character.
I might be mispronouncing it too, and
I keep wanting to call him Drogon, but that's like the idiot Inquisitor from Space Marine.
Yeah.
God, that's a lot of dead. That's a lot of gib.
That was just one shot from the freaking Monolith too. I get that scouts are tier 1. Still though, you just evaporated those people.
Yeah, they're here to die. It's kind of funny, isn't it though? I've got one flank, my entire force. The other flank, my Monolith.
And it is an open question which one is more threatening.
Yeah, I love the Monolith so much. In terms of just super powerful units, it's so fun. It's just the big and all it is like it has no animations. Like, it's got effects, Like, but if you like, it's just it's a building, but they've got the turn radius, the movement, the ominousness for it, a few bit of particle effects on it, and things like that. But and animated textures. But look at it. Oh no, it does have. I suppose it's got the swiveling guns, but even then, it's just like. But it is its core. It's not like it's not a tank. It's not a walker. It is still so intimidating. Like it's
got its
probably
own
more
character.
intimidating because it's just like a floating shape.
A slightly more contemporary rep. You go there, Space Marine. I'm sorry, that just the dude yammering back and forth with the missile launcher just completely derailed me. Anyway, but like a slightly more contemporary one is that like if anybody goes and plays freaking Frostpunk, like the generator that forms the heart of your city is absolutely a character unto itself. It's got so many bits and bobs on it. As you upgrade it, it gets more lively. If you turn on the overclock, it like is actively straining, and as the stress gets higher, it looks more and more tired. For like even mechanically, it just looks really tired. And the monolith is its own character as well in that same way. It is much less expressive than like the generator in Frostpunk, but it doesn't need to be very expressive. It's a Necron, okay? Like it says everything it needs to.
It advances slowly and menacingly and crackles with green energy, and that's Necrons.
Yeah. And it twitches its most dangerous bits, and then erases you from existence to the point where people won't even remember if you sold bad copper ingots.
This fight isn't over yet.
But your life is.
Hold the east gate at all.
Okay.
Yeah, Mac be no chill at this point.
As though to prove my point about the characterization of the Necrons and the soul of the Necrons, the pariah out of freaking nowhere.
Yeah, he just drops it. Your
Oh
deadline.
man, let's just like this fight is not over yet, but your life is. Mic drop. Damn, son.
Yeah. Hey, look. There's nothing for it but to accept it. God, I had actually intended to talk about like all the like the fact that the Space Marines. And I'll quickly touch on it here because like I don't think we've got too much longer left. The Space Marines are probably one of those factions that I think has just like spent the most time after the Necrons awakened fighting the Necrons, and they are actually very well tooled. And I think I've already discussed this. They're very well tooled for fighting the Necrons, and they are definitely in Dawn of War that as well. But it's simply that like Space Marines are very good at moving in and hitting specific targets very hard and moving on. Like they don't like do the big protracted long fight, which favors the Necrons, really. Like, for them, it's like the longer the fight goes, the more the fact that their toughness, their regeneration, their ability to just teleport troops in, teleport troops out, repair troops, it increases. And so, and if you're on a Necron planet, well, that's even more trouble because, like, more of their units are waking up and things like that. Space Marines, they go in at 100 kilometers an hour, slam into what your most important doodad is, plant melter bombs all over it, hop on a land speeder, and then peace out with one of them sitting on the back, like, throwing middle fingers as, like, all your infrastructure, like, violently detonates. Like, they're not the Mechanicus fiddling around on things, they're not the guard digging trenches. The Space Marines go in with the biggest gun they got, put it point blank on your most important thing, and blow it up. And the Necrons hate that. And a lot of Tomb Worlds have actually, like, even if not destroyed, have declined into, like, nothingness as a result of, like, critical strikes, revenge strikes from Space Marines.
It is a true story.
It's hilarious.
It's freaking beautiful. But like, and I do appreciate that you call it the Space Marines as like the ideal force for them, because there are other races around that have the sort of doctrine that you need to attack Necrons, right? Like obviously the Eldar favor really fast strikes, know what you're going for, accomplish your task, and leave. The problem being that the Eldar have difficulty actually committing to the fight, and have more difficulty bringing a big enough gun. Whereas the Space Marines, they don't give a crap. They are more than happy to just be like, okay, cool. You know, we're gonna need something that has a shell that
they have 3 epistolaries named Antius, which is what I was looking at.
Just multiple copies. Don't worry about it.
They're just 3D printing librarians. What the fuck?
Look, this is why the Blood Ravens have so many. Like they're all just clones in a bunch of stasis vats. Okay, it's fine.
Oh god.
But you know, like the Space Marines are more than happy to just be like, oh, we need a Titan for this. Okay, cool. We'll send in a couple of people, recon the area, and then drop it in from space, blow you up in 15 minutes, and we're done. Like we're back in time for dinner.
It's like not all solutions chased by a Space Marine will be the complete annihilation of their enemy. Although if a Space Marine like chapter does commit to that, God help you. But for the most part, it's about like trying to essentially like just tactically tear apart the enemy from the inside. You know, by first deep striking inside of you, then tearing you apart. Oh dear, we're coming up to the end now. I don't think there's much left, so here we go.
Yeah, there it is.
No! We cannot fail.
The GC must be preserved. Get Captain Thule to the Thunderhawk. Understood. Join the Brother Apothecary. We will cover your escape. And you? We cannot allow the enemy to claim our relics. This area must be cleansed with orbital fire. The chapter will honor you, brother. There is no one to be had in defeat. But someone must deliver the targeting beacon. Orbital control. Lock onto this beacon and fire. Full power.
Even the elite of the Blood Ravens could not hold back the murderous advance of the Necrons. The Necrons answered the Space Marines' shouted benedictions with stoic silence and murderous blasts from their Gauss flares. The aliens were uninterested in any arcane secrets that might have been hidden in North Vandia, utterly ignoring the scorched ruins of the Blood Ravens' chapel there. Their gruesome warriors flensed the flesh from every Space Marine left on the planet, but left their holy battle armors and other relics to corrode in the harsh weather. Tragically, among the flesh reduced to particulate ash was the gene seed of those Space Marines, dealing a near-fatal blow to the chapter. By taking North Vandia, the Necrons defeated the Blood Ravens on Kronus. But by purging the genetic heritage of all those fallen battle brothers, they may well have destroyed the whole chapter. By the end of the Dark Crusade, Kronus was a tomb world once more. Just as the marching Necron armies cut down all their opponents, so did other fiendish devices work on the planet's very ecosystem. Scarab swarms scoured the lush jungles of the south and the fertile plains of the north, while pulses of loathsome energy killed even microscopic bacteria. The seas died and the air itself became rarefied and poisoned. Soon, sterile sand and dust swept across the Kronusian landscape, broken only by black monuments to the Nightbringer. Kronus became the black heart of the Necron purge in the eastern edge of the galaxy. Warriors emerging from the monoliths of Kronus would bring death to worlds across the Tau Empire, the domains of Ultramar, and many more sectors. Imperial strike fleets, Tau battle formations, and Eldar raiding teams would all try to retake Kronus, only to fall before the huge crypt vessels protecting the Tomb World from orbit. Each heroic effort only added more deaths to the Nightbringer's tally.
gotta give that sequence a lot of credit.
Really do.
That does like sort of highlight, I think, really what a lot of people miss about the toning down of the Catan. I think when people think about the weird, horrific entities that the Catan are, that sort of does sum it up very well. And yeah, that was Dawn of War: Dark Crusade. Everybody is dead. Dancing crimes.
Yeah, well, that was basically what people signed up for when they voted in the Necron. So, yeah, I would have been disappointed if it was anything else.
It was like a comment. Oh, you should play the Imperial Guard next. It's like, Imperial Guard players, stop. I always want to turn. It's like, guys, you had Winter Assault, just like shoving them down. Stop it.
Yeah, like the guard play pretty nice in Dark Crusade and all, but they're not that substantially different from how they played in Winter Assault.
God, so yeah, Dark Crusade was basically the zenith of the original Dawn of War.
Yeah.
I think. Like Soulstorm, and just so everybody knows, I will be playing some Soulstorm. I might not be able to do a whole campaign due to a lot of like really frustrating technical difficulties, but I'm going to make sure that at the very least, like what Soulstorm is gets shown off. It's really just going to depend on how much frustration I put myself through the next week when I try and sort of get the rest of it like recorded and ready to go. But Dark Crusade was the game where I spent way more time on like making custom banners and badges for armies, more time playing skirmish modes with friends, playing like just random online games against other people. And I used to play a lot of StarCraft back in the day. I played way more Dark Crusade. I sank like it's so funny to look at my Steam thing for it, because I own this game not on Steam. So, like, it will never truly track how many hours I've spent on it. And it's probably for the best. Because it was just that good and that amazing. And even now when I hop back into the game, it all comes flooding back to me, and I immediately become the person everybody tries to kill. Oh, dear. So, yeah, it was actually really good to come back and visit Dark Crusade amongst everything. It's just... is such a good game, and even though like the campaign isn't the most absolute perfect thing of all, it's still really, really good. It's really entertaining.
Yeah, like as much as we've enjoyed talking over it and having podcasts with it. Suffice to say, if you have even the slightest attraction to Warhammer 40k. Seriously, if you have to wait for it to go on sale, then fine. But play Dark Crusade. It's so much more engaging to actually play.
And you know what, guys? Coming in 2007, Soulstorm.
Yeah, we're just gonna do the same thing over multiple planets. What could possibly go wrong? Answer, narrator, literally everything.
And so, Relic, turning to make Dawn of War 2, gave their storied expansion control to Iron Law. Little did they realize that this would be a really bad idea. But then again, THQ were always full of really bad ideas.
Boy, that's going to be a big historical discussion, isn't it? Like,
what,
we're going to be sitting down and goes like...
Really full of really bad ideas? Like...
To understand Soulstorm, first you must understand that like the publisher and the programmers are all gone. They both died, one quicker than the other. Oh god! And they both are back again as well, by the way.
What?
Look, I will. I gotta say,
I'm looking forward to that because I actually didn't know that part. Like, I'm genuinely surprised.
Well, technically back in name. We'll get into all of that, but yes, that has been the Necrons. It has been a blast to play Dark Crusade, and no matter what happens with Soulstorm, like I said, it's very unlikely it's going to be a complete playthrough of the campaign. I do apologize for that, everyone. I'll explain it more in detail when we get going. In fact, actually, in one of my videos, I will demonstrate what happens. But that is for then. I will leave you all to roam the galaxy. That is completely and utterly... What am I talking about? We're not done. Next week is the Tau.
Yeah?
That's stupid. Next week is the Tau Stronghold. I should be saying goodbye to everybody then. I'm not going to cut any of this out. Next week, with Tal do the Necron Stronghold. I've been the Last Robo-Kai.
And I've been Cool Guy.
And then we'll pretend, I'll probably erupt into like insane goodbyes. Then, I don't know. It was the end of this campaign at the very least, and we had
just
the credits.
got gaslit by the
into
credits.
mood,
Is what
don't you?
happened.
When the credits happen, you get into the mood to say like goodbye to the game. It's like, but wait, there's still more. But wait, there's more. Anyway, see you all next time.